So we're going to be looking at the graphs of logarithmic functions and their translations, right? And so we have some important things. We have a, remember a is, if it's negative, it's going to flip it over the x-axis. If it's bigger than 1, it's going to stretch it vertically. And if it's some fraction between 0 and 1, it's going to compress it vertically, right? We also have h, which is our horizontal translation. Remember, it's x minus h. So really, it's going to, if it's x minus 3, we're moving 3 to the right, okay? Or if it's x plus 2, we're moving 2 to the left. And then finally, we also have our vertical translation, which is k, and that's going to move it up or down based upon if it's plus 4, you move it up 4. If it's minus 9, you move it down 9, okay? All right, so let's look at some graphs. And those translations actually happen to those 3 important points that we need to remember. So let's think about what they are again, okay? So it's B1, 1, 0, and then 1/4, -1, or excuse me, 1 over B, -1, okay? So, so if we look at our points right here, okay, I look right here. So this one has multiplying by 3, okay? So that means I'm going to take my y value, and I'm going to multiply it by 3, and then it's plus 1, so that means I'm going to take that y value and I'm going to add 1 to it as well, okay? So I have 2 manipulations I have to do just to y, and the b's are going to stay the same for this one. Now the base for this one is 10, right? So I'm going to have 10, and then my y, which is 1, I'm going to take 3 times 1 plus 1. We said because it's times 3, and then we're adding 1 to it. So my new point that starts at 10 is actually going to be 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Okay, so that's an important point. Then we have our next one, 1, and then 0, 3 times 0 plus 1. Okay, so that'd be 1, 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Okay, so there's our second important point. And finally, the last one, 1 over 10, or 1/10, is going to be 3 times -1 plus 1, which would be 1/10, 1/10, and then -3 plus 1 would be -2. Okay, so those are 3 important points, and we can graph those, right? So let's take a look at those. So 1/10, and I guess on this graph, it's a 5 by 5, so everything's got to count as 2, but that's okay, we can figure that out. All right, so 1/10 is going to be really close to 0. -2 would be like right there, okay? And then we have 1/1, so 1/1 is going to be like right in the middle there, up 1 over 1. And then we have 10, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then up 2, 4 would be right there. And so we graph it, right? And it looks just like that, okay? It looks like a logarithmic function. So let's take a look at one on Desmos, okay? So we can write, let's see, we said it was 3 log base 10 of x plus 1. Okay, so our 3 important points. 1/10, which would be 0.1, is at -2, which we had. Okay, we also had the point 1/1. Yep, 1/1. And then we also had 10/4. So 10/4 right there. Okay, so those are all 3 of those points are on a graph, so we know we graphed it correctly. Okay. All right, let's take a look at letter B then. Okay, letter B. We have 1/2 log of 1/4 x minus 3. So the thing I want to point out to this is, see this x minus 3 right here? What it means is, remember we said when it was -3, we actually had to move 3 units to the right. So I'm actually adding 3 to my x's, okay? So what that means is, back when I had b, which is 1/4, I'm going to add 3 to it, to my x, because it's the opposite. We have to think opposite in our head, right? So I add 3 to my x, and then I take my y and multiply it by 1/2. So instead of just 1, it's going to be 1/2 times 1. So our new point is 3.25, right? Let's do 3.25, and then comma 1/2. All right, so that's our first point, important point, right? All right, let's go to the next one. So we said it was 1, right? 1, 0. So 1, and then I add 3 to it, and then I do 1/2 times my y, which is 0. So I'd get the point 4, 0. okay? Now the last one is 1 over b. So 1 over 1/4 is just going to be 4. And then I'm going to add 3 to it, right? Just like I did before and all the other ones. And I'm going to take that. It was -1, but we'd have to multiply it by 1/2. So 1/2 times -1. So our final important point is the point 7, -1/2. Okay? So let's graph these and see what it looks like. So 3.25, right? Again, I'll go by twos. So 3.25 is going to be like right in between there, and up 1/2 is going to be right there. All right, then we have 4, 0, which is there. And then we have 2, 4, 6, 7, -1/2 would be like right there. So our graph is going to look kind of like this. Okay, so let's check it out on Desmos and see if we get the same thing. Okay. All right, so we're going to do 1/2 log base. 1/4 is 0.25 to the power of x minus 3. Okay, so let's look at our important points. So we have the 0.40, which was one of ours. We also had, if we follow along, 3.25. 3.25 was 1/2, which we had. And then we also had the 0.7, -1/2. It's hard to get to, but there it is right there. All right, so 7, -1/2. So we know that we did it correctly, okay?